Ba, ba, ba-da-da. Start spreading the news. The New York Yankees are legit. A third of the way into the 2022 campaign, the Yankees don't merely have the best record in the majors. Rather, at 39-15, they have the best record of any team through 54 games since the 2001 Seattle Mariners, who famously went on to set the modern-era single-season wins record with 116. Even though the calendar just flipped to June, the Yankees' torrid start has already made them the prohibitive favorite to win their division for just the second time in the last decade. And more importantly, their early season dominance has them looking like a solid bet to snap one of the longest World Series droughts in franchise history. So what's going right for these resurgent Yankees? Let's take a look. Sit back, relax, and take this in. Before we dive into today's episode, a friendly reminder to smash that subscribe button if you haven't already. We're so close to 100,000 subs, and we want you to help us get there. Alright, back to the show. If it seems like it's been a while since the Yankees have lorded over Major League Baseball, that's because it has. They haven't won a World Series title or even been to the World Series since 2009. And while they've been consistently competitive over the last decade plus, at no point over that span have they been the best team in baseball. And after making no massive changes this past offseason to last year's 92-win club, they weren't supposed to be the best team in 2022 either. We even wondered aloud back in April if the 2022 Dodgers might be the greatest team ever. But so far, the Yankees have very much looked the part. Simply put, everything is clicking for the Yankees, who are currently on an 117-win pace with an equally encouraging plus 102 run differential. As of this writing, their lineup leads the majors in weighted runs created plus, a catch-all park-adjusted offensive metric, while their pitching staff leads the majors in ERA, fielding independent pitching, and wins above replacement. That's a pretty good recipe for success. Offensively, the Yankees have been propelled by all-star right fielder Aaron Judge, who has elevated his game to another level with his free agency looming. Through June 5th, Judge led the majors in on-base plus slugging, homers, and WRC plus, and trailed only Mookie Betts and Manny Machado for the MLB lead in wins above replacement. Notably, Judge also appeared in all but 2 of New York's first 54 games, highlighting one of the other key factors behind the Yankees' early season success: improved health. In recent years, many of the Yankees' key players have struggled to stay on the field, invariably leading to seasons that fell shy of expectations. Last year, in fact, the Yankees lost more man games to injury than all but 7 other teams, and just about every key player missed at least some time. This year, however, the Yankees have been uncharacteristically healthy, sitting 19th in the majors in man games lost to injury as of this writing, with depth starters or relievers accounting for the bulk of that IL time. In other words, the Yankees' all-star studded lineup has been largely intact all season long, and with the notable exception of Joey Gallo, just about everyone is performing at or above their career norms. And I'd be remiss if I didn't shout out Anthony Rizzo, who's rocking the highest isolated power of his career at the age of 32, and Gleyber Torres, who's also rediscovered his power stroke after 2 anemic seasons. Here's the kicker though. The Yankees' expected weighted on-base average, based on their average exit velocities and launch angles, is 35 points higher than their actual weighted on-base average. Long story short, they have the best offense in baseball, and they've actually underperformed. And as much credit as their offense deserves, the Yankees' pitching staff has arguably been even more impressive, starting with their suddenly indomitable rotation. It's not the $324 million man Garrett Cole, however, who's been the Yankees' best starter through the first 2 months of 2022. Rather, that distinction belongs to a journeyman left-hander earning the league minimum, Nestor Cortes, or as he's affectionately known, Nasty Nestor. Through 10 starts this season, Cortes leads the majors in ERA and ERA+, while sitting 3rd in WHIP. And his expected numbers, based on his whiff rates and contact profile, suggest his breakout, which actually began last year when he added a cutter to his repertoire, is very much legit. Ultimately, Cortez' emergence, plus the return of Luis Severino, has seemingly turned New York's rotation into a behemoth. In fact, if the season ended after 54 games, the Yankees would be the first team in history to have 5 qualified starters each post an ERA of 3.02 or lower. The last team to have 4 starters do that? That would be the '97 Atlanta Braves, whose rotation featured 3 future Hall of Famers. And let's not forget about that Yankees bullpen, which you're seemingly not allowed into unless you throw 100. Collectively, New York's relievers own the second highest average fastball velocity in the majors. And even with closer Aroldis Chapman and some key setup men either injured or ineffective for much of the first part of the season, the Yankees bullpen still ranks in the top 5 in the majors in ERA, FIP, and win probability added as of June 5th. Clay Holmes and Michael King have stepped up in a big way in the absence of New York's marquee relievers, and given the strides those two have made, it seems inevitable that the Yankees will have by far the best bullpen in baseball when and if their big guns return to health and/or form. Now, before you start anointing the Yankees the 2022 champs, a couple caveats. For one, the Yankees have benefited from a pretty soft schedule thus far. Of their first 54 games, nearly a quarter have come against the abysmal Baltimore Orioles, who, as we all know, lost 108 games or more in each of the last 3 non-COVID shortened seasons. Meanwhile, 35% of New York's games through the 1/3 mark came against clubs from the notoriously weak AL Central. Through June 5th, the Yankees had only played 4 games against last year's AL East champs, the Tampa Bay Rays, and they had yet to play the Houston Astros, who captured another pennant in 2021 and currently own the second best record in the AL. Additionally, while the offense may have underperformed slightly through the season's first 2 months, the pitching staff overperformed based on their expected numbers. Some regression is to be expected there, with the main culprits being Jordan Montgomery and Jameson Taillon, both of whom are averaging less than 7 strikeouts per 9 innings. Still, while the Yankees' current pace is almost certainly unsustainable, they've made it clear through the season's first 2 months that they're a serious World Series threat in 2022. They don't have any glaring weaknesses, they're healthy, and having gone nearly a decade and a half without a World Series title, they're hungry. But what say you? Have the Yankees overtaken the Dodgers as the team to beat? Or is this just a hot start for a good but imperfect club? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. As always, we appreciate you. We'll see you next time.